Now it's my pleasure to welcome back to the stage Terrence Bennett. You saw Terrence Bennett this morning when he welcomed us and kicked off our event. He's the executive director at Bay Area Robotics Association. That hasn't changed since this morning, and will be speaking on building the global physical AI ecosystem from Silicon Valley to international collaboration. Please join me in welcoming Terrence to the stage.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, I'm the only thing standing between all of you and lunch, so I'll try and make this as quick as possible. Got a few slides here, and my attempt today is to tell the story of why BARA is necessary and why it exists. I think it's important first to unpack the US robotics scene, going back to the 1970s and 80s. Trust me, I won't go into the deep history. And then to how we sort of got here, why the Bay Area, and then ultimately the international component. So I'm going to talk about the three robotics booms that the US has had. Each one had a different capital base, a different tech stack, and a different center of gravity. Starting in Detroit in the 1970s and 80s, we saw the early robots in the automotive sector, very similar to what was here in Japan with Toyota and other manufacturers. These were large manufacturing assets. They were CapEx expenditures, and they were financed for the purpose of improving efficiency, improving safety, improving throughput. They looked like large robotic arms that were welding, they were painting, they were in large cage cells, which we still see today. And they were on the factory floor, and that spread over to Stuttgart and Nagoya as well. So that was the 1980s. In the early 2000s, we saw a new boom out of Boston, largely driven by DARPA money. DARPA is the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. So we're talking about military spending for the purpose of investing in understanding advanced manufacturing, advanced robotics. A lot of the early startups came out of MIT. These are long, multi-year PhD programs that had a proven capability. They got DARPA money and they started companies. This was the early cobots, the mobile bases, and they really mastered the control plane during this period. We've all seen the incredible Boston Dynamics videos, right, that have been coming out over the years. At the center of that was Mass Robotics as an institutional center. And then the Bay Area. And really, these are distinct booms, right? They're building on top of each other in a way, right? I've met many Boston Dynamics engineer who came to the Bay Area through Google and then ended up staying at Google or somewhere else, right? But they're driven by different different tech stacks. And so the Bay Area robotics boom, and I don't think anyone will argue with me saying this, a lot of it's frankly driven by VC money chasing new investments, diversifying from software. And these are software-sized checks. The VCs are interested in risky bets that pay big. And so you get, and I'll speak to this, right? It's larger checks, larger valuations out of it. The tech stack is really based around AI, right? Everyone's talking about the ChatGPT moment of robotics for a reason. So the tech stack is foundation models. We're talking about vision, language action models, and manipulation is the learning problem that they're all trying to solve for. As I said, the model is the center of gravity, right? So what makes the Bay Area different? I have 4 advantages. I had 5 originally, talking about universities, but that gets a little bit wishy-washy. So I think these are the really strong 4. To start with frontier model density. DeepMind might be London-based, right? Mistral is obviously European, right? But I don't think anyone will doubt that we have an incredible concentration of machine learning and AI experts in the Bay Area. And the cluster with the shortest path from frontier research to embodied AI, embodied applications, we think will win. And that's why the recent robotics boom is clustered in the Bay Area. Second, venture capital. I touched on this. We're seeing these like almost tear-jerking valuation numbers that people think are completely insane for robotics companies. But this is the way Silicon Valley raises money. It's a different world, a different set of standards, right? So $11 billion for physical AI. We're Detroit optimized for manufacturing capital, and Boston for the academic DARPA applications. The Bay Area writes frontier risk checks at hardware scale. The Tesla Optimus spillover. We're seeing, and I've met I feel like tons of these folks over the just last few months. Former Tesla engineers, a mechanical engineer, an AI researcher, a highly specialized physical AI expert who peels away to start their own thing, right? We saw this out of Boston Dynamics a decade ago with cobots, and it's the same thing at a much, much bigger scale. And this is the interesting one that I don't think many of you might be expecting. Two of the first conversations I had as the executive director of the Bay Area Robotics Association were commercial realtors. I had two of the biggest commercial real estate brokers in the world chasing down my door to talk about robotics because they were seeing this huge influx of robotics companies looking for space, looking for real estate. In software, two kids in a basement or in a garage, famously, can create a multi-billion-dollar company. But if you're going to build robots, you need physical space. There's compliance issues. There's ISO standards, right? You need more room that you can get often in San Francisco. And so, this is real, and it was actually kind of a surprise to me. And what I'm starting to see, and what I'm imagining is a new manufacturing corridor that starts where production is today, Fremont, for Tesla. For those of you who may not have seen the news, Tesla stopped making cars in their Fremont factory. The last one rolled off about a week and a half ago. That entire factory is being retooled for humanoids. And whether you trust Elon Musk on his numbers, he anticipates 1 million humanoids a year at max capacity. So Fremont in the south, San Jose, is where Figure has a production facility. Hayward, just a little bit north, is where 1X has a production facility. And then you follow that line all the way north to the Solano Foundry. For those of you, most of you probably haven't heard of California Forever, but a group of investors with deep pockets bought 70,000 acres out by Travis Air Force Base, think kind of halfway between East Bay and Sacramento, 70,000 acres, and they're going to build over 2,000 acres of advanced manufacturing, logistics, and just manufacturing, a foundry, right? I think, and from the people I'm talking to at California Forever and Solano Foundry and others, we're going to see a renaissance of manufacturing in the Bay Area that stretches between these two cities. These are sort of the north and south anchors. This is a map I put together on Bay Area startups. Huge cluster in San Francisco, Mission, no surprises there, working its way down through the peninsula, down into South Bay. And now we're starting to see that arc up through Fremont. There's a bunch of stuff going on in Oakland, in Richmond. Sorry for those of you who don't know Bay Area geography. I'm trying to help out here with this map. But we're sort of encircling the Bay here. There's companies that scaled to 100 employees and billions in revenue during software days who could do all that with a relatively small office in San Francisco. That's not possible with robotics. It's not possible with hardware. So back to the Solano Foundry in California Forever, we're seeing this incredible build, this incredible project on this north anchor, if you will, of the Bay Area, this California Forever site. And it's going to include a 7,500 acre shipyard. For those of you interested in shipbuilding, that would put it on par with being one of the biggest shipyards in the world. These are serious people with real money. They've already bought the land. They're just working through the permitting and everything else. So it's interesting because I talked to a lot of people in DC and elsewhere that think that companies are fleeing California, and it's frankly not the case. It's quite the opposite. The Bay Area has some of the largest concentration of mechanical engineers, of AI engineers, of experts in this advanced manufacturing field, and companies are staying there to build. So you can imagine a future where a CEO out of a headquarters in San Francisco boards their eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing. There's two Bay Area-based eVTOL companies, Archer and Joby, are expecting FAA approval next year, maybe early 2027. Next year. Yeah, next year. And they could be in Benicia, which has thousands of open acres of industrial real estate, or Solano Foundry in 15 minutes. They could troubleshoot their issue and be back in San Francisco by lunch. The geography of the Bay Area being on water will actually bring it all closer. For me to get to California or San Francisco today, I either have to cross 2 bridges or take a ferry. But eVTOLs, at least in the early days, are going to follow helicopter routes, which is over water. So we're seeing a really, really exciting kind of collapse in of the Bay for a bunch of different reasons, including this new manufacturing corridor and the new technologies coming about. So that's the Bay Area. Let's now talk about international collaboration. Humanoids require a lot more than just one country, right? This is an integrated ecosystem by necessity, not by accident. We're talking about actuators from across Asia, semiconductors designed in California, fabricated in Taiwan, foundation models trained across compute all over the world, specifically Asia. The strategic question isn't whether to integrate, it's how to do so successfully. And this is a global stack by design. Japan brings world-class knowledge in human-centric robotics, standards for safety and integration. Korea brings tier 1 supply chains from automotive manufacturer. Companies like HL Mondo, with deep integrations across the world, including the United States. China, which brings a hardware velocity and ability to iterate that's unmatched globally. And Bay Area, frontier model density and venture capital. This is what I'm seeing on the ground. This is how startups are building today. I was just talking to a startup out in the hall that went to China to build because they needed to be co-located with in Shenzhen with the designers, with the engineers to build at the speed they need to build. So why does this matter now? Well, the window is shortening. I was at a Stanford event last week where founder of Physical AI and some other large frontier model companies are saying 12 to 18 months. We're right in that capacity inflection zone, and we need to start building the institutions, we need to start building the cross-border partnerships and the capital coordination for this ecosystem that is scaling quickly. I also think of the unit of analysis isn't a country, it's not a company. It's a cluster. It's the relationships in this room, out in the exhibition hall. It's the bill of materials for any robot and the countries it spans. Because if you're building, you don't really care about the politics. You're trying to build the best product you can at the most reasonable price. And so BARA is trying to be the connective tissue to pull it all together to help solve problems and break down barriers and allow us all to succeed together. We're a member-driven organization building ground truth ecosystem at Intel, and it's an organization and a body that did not previously exist in the Bay Area, and I'm really, really excited about what we're doing. Every day, I'm just having the most phenomenal conversations with startups and founders and corporations that are building. And so, any questions, please reach out. We'll be here all for the whole event, and then obviously you can find us online. That is it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Terrence, thank you so much. Thank you so much.